Hola amigos, bien o no, y saludos desde Medellín. Hoy el tema es memoria y cómo necesitamos mejorar nuestra memoria para ayudarnos para, bueno, recuerdo las palabras que nosotros necesitamos para mejorar en nuestra nueva lengua. So, memoria es el tema de hoy. So, hello from Medellin, and today we're going to talk about memory, or more particularly, um, not sort of where did I leave my car keys type memory, but how do you remember words? How can you get around this problem? Because we try by listening to lots of things, and we try by practice, but what happens when you get new words? How do you stop forgetting them? What kind of tactics can you use to help you remember the new word that, it's really useful, I need to remember that. Well, my tip for this is quite simple. It's context. Don't try and remember the word on its own. Some words are easy because they're very similar. There's a lot of similarity between words in Spanish, words in English, very similar. Maybe the spelling's a bit different, but basically it's the same word. You can see it quite clearly. Other words are a bit different. So how do you remember that word? Next time you're going to try and think of when you use the word. So in that sense, keep the context. Let's give you a basic example. At the supermarket, I'm going to buy porridge because I like that for breakfast. But the word porridge in English does not translate as porridge in Spanish. In Spanish, it's avena. So how do I remember that word? Because it's nothing like the word porridge. It doesn't look like it. It's not spelt similarly. It doesn't sound the same. How do I remember a word that looks very different? Well, really, it's to think of, okay, so I think of a sentence in Spanish that I can use my new word, avena, but that makes sense in the context I need to use it. So I'm reinforcing why I need that word. So something like, when I go to the supermarket, I need to buy avena, I need to buy porridge. So that's how I remember it. So if my new word in this sense in English is porridge, I would say when I go to the supermarket, I need to buy porridge. So the fact that I remember it as the supermarket, that's the thing I need to buy, that's my word I'm using, I'm kind of linking the two things together. So I'm trying to remember the word not just on its own, but in a sentence that links it to where I would use that word. And that's a good way to practice it because that's going to help it stick a bit better in your memory. Because the more visual you can remember it, like, okay, look, I can see the packet on the shelf in the supermarket. There it is. I know the brand of stuff I like to buy. There it is. I can visualize it. So once you start looking at something like that, if it's a word that's causing you problems because I can't remember that word, go back to the context. Look at where do you use that word normally. Think of a nice visual example of you using that word in that conversation. Think of a sentence that puts it in the right place when you would normally use that word. It's going to help you remember it. So try it like that. Don't just go with a word that word translates straight to this. Try and think of a sentence that you can use the word that also puts you in the place where you would normally use it. And hopefully that will give you a better mental picture. Link the two together. Should be a bit easier to remember it. That's our tip for today. Entonces, hasta la próxima. Till next time, from Medellin, it's Cheerio.